We're
Are
going
we
live.
live?
I believe we're live now.
Okay, so right now I'm gonna share your transmission in my Facebook page.
Okay. While one Juan Jose Perez Baca shares
Just
his
yeah,
shares this in on his Facebook page, I'll talk a little bit in case anybody's watching. First, let me get on
so
my page.
share. Let me check. Okay, I'm sharing right now in my Facebook page. So as I mentioned before, I don't think nobody's gonna watch it right now because it's not. They don't have any notification because the sharing thing is coming from your.
Right.
So okay, so
Right.
let's
But
give it a
they
try
can
anyway.
see it afterward, and we can try this
If they
out.
like.
Yeah. All right. So anybody that watches this later, because I don't think anybody's watching now.
Yeah,
We are
just
here.
I think one person,
Yeah.
and probably that's yourself.
Oh, I should also put me on the. I should put me on the screen. Ah, there we are. We're both on the screen now. Okay, so if anybody sees this later, I think we're going to leave this one up. We did a couple of tests, and I deleted them. And we're here to talk a little bit about photography and try this out. To probably just do this a little bit more during the lockdown, the quarantine, however it is for in your area. So this is Juan Jose. I like to call him Ganchos.
Ganchos.
Yeah, just because
I didn't know that.
in poker, if you get the poker where you get two cards, like for Texas Hold'em, if you get two jacks,
Yes.
if you get two jacks, as in Juan Jose, then you call that fish hooks or hooks.
Ah, I got
So
like ganchos, as you
yeah,
said.
but since
Because I don't play poker, so I don't know those terms.
yeah,
But okay,
since
I'm learning.
I fancy myself interested in Spanish, I just made it ganchos because you'd understand that, and I just think
I
that's
have a friend that is an expert playing poker, so I'm gonna ask that to this friend. By the way, if he's watching, his name is Horacio, and he's in tournaments and everything. He used to be, not anymore.
hey, right while we're streaming. I just saw a message pop up from a guy. I listened to his show. It's actually a Seahawkers podcast, and
Okay.
he has all this down. He does all the stuff technically, and just now he messaged me with what he uses. So it looks like I
So
have.
he's telling you that you're doing everything right or wrong, or
Well,
how,
I don't think he's. I don't even. I doubt he even sees this. I think he just happened to message right now. So there's yet
okay.
one more app I need to try out. Okay, so just for.
Yeah, but it's good that he's watching because he can give you some advices later on,
But I wonder if he's watching or if he just messaged me.
or they can actually see the video later, or you can share with him later the
Yeah.
video so he can actually tell you what to do.
Well, at any rate, since some people that see this will be my friends from the Seattle area, listen to the Seahawkers podcast. It rules. And if you're like me and you live away from there, and coincidentally I live in the Bay Area, so I'm right by two rivals, really one rival is San Francisco. And anyway, it's a cool podcast. So,
Okay,
hey, let's talk a little bit about photography.
let's talk about photography.
Ganchos here, Juan Jose.
Ganchos.
He's in Ecuador.
I have to get used to that new nickname.
Well,
It's the first
I had to
person that
find.
called me that way.
Yeah, I got to find a nickname for you because like you even said you can't go by Juan. That doesn't
No, no, no.
sound.
I don't like just one. But
And
as you said before, Juan Jose or Juanjo.
Juanjo, but Juanjo, you know what ho means in these parts.
In in what in Japanese or in
No, if
Chinese?
I no, and in American, if I called you ho, that's like a prostitute.
In English.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
okay. Like I'm from.
Juan ho is
Um,
like
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So don't call me that way.
I mean I get it because I've known people like.
I'm gonna call you Ghost Pepper.
Oh yeah, I got to show my
G,
ghostliness.
GP.
How do I show my ghostliness? I don't have that control right now. GP? Okay,
Yeah, GPP.
wait. Watch. Do I turn into a ghost? Look. How do I look?
Okay. No. You are all solid, and I cannot see you.
It's gonna change in a second on
Your
Facebook
body.
because Facebook
Okay,
is
so go ahead.
behind.
So
Okay.
let's talk about photography, Ron.
All right. Well, I thought I would ask you. The reason I asked you to queue up some of your food photography that I saw is we're doing like this Facebook Live because like so many people we're working from home all the time. And actually for me it's not that big of a change. I work a lot from home already, but now it's just all the time.
The
And
same here.
yeah. And there's a ton of people out there like that. And I would love to give a shout out to the people that are essential and are out working still. Like I mean, there's pros and cons with everything, right? But having your job really secure because you're essential comes with the downside of riskiness, and especially for the healthcare people and everything. So, shout out for those. And I understand that we're only reaching out to the people that have a ton of time on their hands, and it's a lot of people based on what I see on Facebook.
You're right.
So I thought we said let's talk about photography, but we didn't want to talk all day. Let's just pick one thing. So I saw your food photography you showed me recently, and I said, why don't we take the here's the direction I want to go is when I was at the store the other day, and the baking section is empty, so there's no flour, sugar, and stuff like that.
The baking section.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm in California. Not much is empty, but the baking section was low. Like they were having trouble keeping it stocked because apparently everybody's with all the time at home. They're baking and cooking at home. So I thought, hey, maybe try some food photography, which I can tell you firsthand is way harder than it looks. So when you see a beautifully done shot, it's the photographer will really appreciate what goes into it. But until you try it on your own, it's harder than it looks. So I can think of a couple things to advise, but it would be great to have you give a couple pointers about how to take it from a simple dark or badly or unevenly lit shot to something a little bit better. And I can
You're right.
I can think of a couple things, but I thought we could switch it to your screen and you can show a little bit about what you did and point out like some of the things that were difficult to solve. And let's see what you do with it, and maybe I'll chime in with a couple things. And
So
see where it
are
goes.
you sharing my screen right now, or are you?
Let me
or are
switch
you-
to you. Hold on a second.
Right now, my web page is open. Actually, it's not my web page. This comes from Spark, which is one platform inside Adobe that you can. It's like a software that you can actually upload all your work and images or whatever you want, and then you can have a link and share it.
Yeah,
Because
Spark
the web page is on work right now. It's not ready. It's not on air.
Oh,
But it's gonna be.
let's talk about that on another broadcast later. But
Okay.
there, your screen is showing, and yep.
So I'm gonna show just a couple of pictures that I've been taking lately.
Now
I'm gonna
this was
just give.
this was a job for a client, correct?
Yes, this was a job for a client.
So it's the real thing.
This was a very difficult job to do because seems, as you said before, you're right. It seems like very easy task to do it, but it's actually not, because you have to pay attention in very small details. You have to pay attention in the lighting, in the how do you do your composition, your depth of field, what props do you include in your photography. So that's why we are always working with an art director, which, by the way, is also, well, actually I work with a full styler and also with an art director. So
That's what I wanted to bring up. Is I remember learning that exists some time ago. Is that there's something called a food stylist, which
Yes.
is one way to take food photography to the next level, maybe you want to tell them what the food stylist does.
Exactly. So a food stylist actually is a person who's in charge of cooking all the food, and of course that person can have an assistant to do all that cooking. But then that person is her or his job is to actually make the things look appealing and have the right amount of shine and colors and textures, and a lot of things are actually not real, and some things are real but are not necessarily cooked, they are raw, to keep all the colors and all the shape of the food in a good shape.
Right, so
And
there's a difference between cooking for deliciousness and cooking for making something
exactly,
photo ready. Yeah.
that's the thing, that the chefs, if they don't know about food styling, they of course they can make a delicious dish, but not necessarily as a photographer you're going to capture that dish in a good way. So the food stylist, they have to actually know how to present and how to use all this makeup and shines and tricks to make the food look very delicious, and actually you wanna eat it, because that's the whole purpose, right? If you wanna watch, if you see a picture of a food dish, the thing is that you like to eat it.
So what's something on there that wasn't real or that was raw?
For example, this in this, I don't know if are you watching this taco
Yes.
kind of taco thing.
Yep.
So this cream, the top is actually not cream; it's a mix of something else that actually keeps the shape and doesn't melt. Because if you're taking this picture,
Yeah.
I don't know, for 30 minutes or for an hour, sometimes even more, the things are not gonna look right, and it melts.
Now,
And
is that something? Did you do the shoot at the restaurant?
no, in a studio.
Okay, so they brought. So and did the food stylist do all the cooking there at the same place?
Yes, because this studio has a kind of big kitchen. So yeah, and the kitchen is right next to the studio. So when when the dish is ready, and they put it, in a table, and the art director start to see what kind of props they do it that before. They know what kind of props they're gonna use with that specific dish. So what she's doing is actually putting all those elements together to see if the colors go right, if the textures go right, if the dish is actually being like the main character. Because sometimes if you put some elements that are not like, if they are too strong, the dish itself is not gonna like look as the protagonist of the shoot.
Right. So if you're taking a picture of a steak, then the steak needs to be the main subject.
Yeah, and you do that with not only with the styling thing and with the prop that you use, but also with lighting. So it's a mix of different things.
So a lot of things about photography hold true, that you still want to compose and light to really bring out the subject.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's like it's crucial to show what you want to show, and
What was
the
that? What was
colors
that
of the
butter?
food.
What's that butter made out of?
Well, actually, this one is real. It's real. Yeah, not necessarily every time you see a food picture, everything is fake. Sometimes of course, you use real things, and sometimes it's a mixture of real and non-real things.
Right.
Just to give you an example, for example, when you're photographing ice cream, actually ice cream is not real ice cream because it melts. It's mushroom potato thing mixed with some other ingredients, and actually it gives the same texture of an ice cream, but it's not ice cream. So you can work for 2 hours and it's not melting. So that's a good thing. To give you
No,
an
but what? No,
example, uh-huh.
I heard I heard that if you're doing this for marketing or maybe for packaging, I'm not sure, that the main if you if you're doing the photo for an advertisement that will be for a certain ice cream, then you get in trouble if you don't use real ice cream. However, if the ice cream is sitting on top of a cake and the advertisement is for the cake, then the ice cream can be fake. This might be a U.S. thing. That might be a U.S.
No, no,
thing.
no. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes they ask you to use the real product, and you have to do it fast. And if you don't do it fast, you have to do it all over again and again and again with a real product.
Thank God for
But
LED lights instead of old hot lights, huh?
yeah, that's one thing that you can actually do. Use continuous light, LED, so it's not that hot. Or you can use flashes,
Right.
strobes. But the thing is that anyway, during the time you're shooting, the things are gonna oxidate. I don't know if that's the word, but
Oxidize.
the vegetables, yeah, the vegetables are not gonna look so fresh.
Yeah.
The shine of the meat is not gonna be like shiny, and like the potatoes are gonna look kind of old, and this happened in a matter of an hour. So you have to be kind of fast, and if you cannot do it, you have to bring another time all these products and do it all over again.
Right.
So as
So
you told me at the beginning of this conversation that you would like me to tell some people what kind of tips and tricks they can actually do while we are in this
yeah, like
terrible
how
time.
if you bake something up or create something, what are a couple, and you want to try out your food photography chops a little bit and try it out, ready to succeed or not, and see how it goes. What would you say? A couple of tips. Like it sounds like the first one, like you were saying, would be
So okay, the
to,
first one is have to have your idea clear. I mean, if what would you like to transmit with this picture? That's the first thing. Then you have to know what kind of elements would you like to have sharing your main product in your composition. So that's art direction. Then you need to know what kind of mood would you like to give to your picture. Like it's gonna be like a dark food style mood. It's gonna be like a high key mood. It's gonna be like a more rustic mood, or you're gonna do like a kind of modern look, or I don't know. You have to understand what kind of sensation you want to transmit, and that's why the lighting is so important, because you can have a beautiful styling product in front of your working table, but if your lighting is not good, but if your
well, what can you do just at home with everyday things to
yeah,
make the lighting a
so
little better?
for a lot of different techniques, even if you're doing food photography or portrait or even architecture photography or whatever, trying to see what kind of quality of light you have in your place. If you place your composition next to a window, for example, you're using a natural light, that's a very good way to start. And then, of course, the camera doesn't capture the same thing as your eyes do, so you have to have some field light. And if you don't have any kind of light, artificial light, let's pretend that you don't have any kind of light in your home. I mean, LED light or whatever. You just use a whiteboard, and you bounce the light to fill all these shadow thing areas that you don't want to be that shadow, right? So having just a window and a a white sheet or a white cardboard,
Yeah.
you can have a decent result
You could
photographing
you could take any.
photographing food.
Yeah, the soft light things would be right, like a sheet, something like that, that just kind of wraps the light around. And you can also use the
That's right.
sheet, like if it's really bright outside the window, you could also use
As
the
a
sheet to diffuse the light.
as a diffusion material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soften it. But then you can
Uh,
also, a really good DIY is just to take a piece of any kind of something flat, cardboard or anything, and just wrap some tinfoil around it, and then you can really reflect light if you want to.
That's right. And there's another trick that is actually very easy to have in your home, and almost everybody has this kind of mirrors. How do you say the convex mirror or the one
Yeah.
you can actually like a spotlight, like you can concentrate light in a specific spot.
So you make it convex by kind of bending the corners in. Is that what you mean? Or
Or you
concave,
already have a convex mirror for those for makeup.
like a compact mirror?
Yeah, like a compact mirror. Those mirrors that have your wife or your girlfriend for makeup. So the good thing about those mirrors is that you can actually have your window light, your field light, but then you can use your like two or three or just one convex mirror to create some highlights in specific areas.
Oh yeah, like really reflect into one specific spot. Good
So
point.
that
Good point.
in that way you are not just having like a general lighting of your subject or of your food plate, but you are having a general lighting, but also you're having some spots of light. If you want to if you want your eyes go to that specific point, you just use that mirror and you aim to that specific spot, and you are getting a more contrasty look, and you're getting more,
Yeah, that's
more.
a really good point. That's a good one. I haven't really thought of aiming a highlight.
It's very common. It's very
Uh,
common to use mirrors when you're doing food photography. It's a must. I mean, you can solve that just using a window and a fill light, but you want to do the next step is a very good idea to have some mirrors,
Cool, that's a good one.
different sizes, and yeah.
Cool. Maybe another time we can talk about drinks. Like,
Yeah, I
go.
can give you a little tip about drinks. Let me find a specific one here, or maybe that one.
Bottles and
No.
glasses can be really tough with all the reflections.
Well, right here in this picture that you're seeing right now, actually I'm not using this technique, but I'm using this picture right now just to clarify what you can do when you don't have a white background or a kind of gradient like in this background. If you have a bottle of whiskey, if you have a glass of juice or a soda or whatever, and you're not getting all this transparency and punchy look, actually you can cut a card- a silver cardboard to put it right behind your glass, and you can actually move that little cardboard, silver or even golden, depending of what kind of look you want to have. For example, for a gin or for a vodka, you're going to use a silver or a white, but for a whiskey, you would like to use a golden one, and you aim to the light, and then it doesn't matter if you don't have like a white background. Even if you have a gray background or a dark background, you can make that liquid look appealing because of this transparency that you're getting with this golden cardboard or whatever. You know what I mean?
So you used the color cardboard, or did you put gel to color the light.
No. The cardboard is behind the glass.
Okay.
I'm not talking about right now about gels putting in the lights. I'm talking about how can you make. It's like, for example, here. If you see this in the middle, this cup of wine, right? Mm-hmm. Everything behind this cup of wine is black, but here I used a little piece of white thing just to bring up some color of that liquid.
Ah, okay. Where did you put that?
Right behind. So it's hidden. So it's hidden. You cannot actually see it from the camera perspective, but it's there. It's behind the product.
Ah, good tip. So it brings out the color of the wine.
That's a very common thing to do when you're taking pictures of liquids.
Very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, again, encourage people to try out a couple of those things. I remember learning about this initially, and I've never done this in a serious way like you have. I've learned about it, done some for fun, and as how often happens in photography, you're doing one kind of photography, and people ask you to do other kinds. So I've done things, but in a more casual way, without studio and props and everything. So, but yeah, I'd encourage everybody to try it out by the window and diffuse the light and reflect the light, and think about the composition, about what you want to show as the main subject, and obviously pay attention to the backgrounds, and probably elevate the photo from a snapshot to a really good photo.
And usually, a good practice is to defocus the background, so you can actually use a very shallow depth of field. That's another way.
I think we're cutting out a little bit. I think I've lost Senor Ganchos. See if we get him back.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, you're back.
And talking about lenses, what lens do you think is a very common lens for doing food photography?
Which one is a common one?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it would depend on what look you've decided to use, but I would suspect it would be something focal length-wise, be middle of the road, so you can get some control over the depth of field. And so I probably, well, let's see, for the things you were doing, I see a couple of wide-angle examples, but for the most part, probably something like a 50 to 70.
Yeah, 50 to 70, it's a very common lens to use when you're taking pictures of food. There's in Canon, if we talk about Canon, there's one lens that is the 100 mil, mm-hmm. the 2.8 100 mil. That one is amazing because it's a macro too.
Oh yeah, did you need that macro lens for really close up?
Sometimes yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes yes, you do. It's a very, it's a fixed focal length, is pristine, is super sharp, but sometimes I realize that not necessarily you have to do it with that. Sometimes just if you use like a 70 to 200 and you use that 70 mil, actually looks really good too.
Well,
Let me show you.
I was going to say a lot of food photography probably follows similar needs as portraits. I would suspect.
Yeah. For example, this one here. For example, I'm gonna show you this one. Let me see. Let's say this one here is a 100 mil. Okay. That's another trick that you can do for getting more mood and more interesting picture. You can actually use some branch, take some branches or to have a cardboard and cut it and and do some holes in it. So you use the window light, but at the same time you use this cardboard with holes, so the light is not direct, but it goes through these holes, and you make patches of shadows and lights. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like here, like in this example. If you see the background is with some patches of light and shadows,
Mm-hmm.
like if the window, like if the sun is coming through a window, but at the same time is passing through some tree leaves.
Yeah, that's really cool. You can use anything with a cutout pattern too, right? Like
That's right.
some what am I trying to think of? Like not a sheet, but what do you call those that have they're knitted together and they have a lot of see-through.
Yeah, the name of this kind of things. Yeah, the name of this kind of things is called gobos. So you can basically have, and I don't know how to pronounce in English, but I think it's kind of
gobos.
same.
Yeah, gobos. Yeah.
Gobos. So you have like patterns, and you have branches. You can have like a window. You can have like abstract shapes or things, whatever. So talking about the focal length, this one is 100, but this one here, if you see it, this one is 70 mil. So the food looks more close to you. It's like more present. So if you want to transmit more, like a more sense of presence in a food photography, it's a good idea to go like for a 50 or a 70 mil, and it brings the food even closer to you. But not necessarily that's something that you want to do. Sometimes you just want to do something like this other example here, which is this one is 150 mil, and this is not giving you the same sensation of closeness, but is another way to capture. This picture here was very difficult because you have white fake ice cream with some fake cream next to a very dark brownie. So how do you lit all those things together? If you do like a general lighting for this kind of example, if you expose for the highlights, you gotta have the brownie super underexposed, right? And if you do the other thing, that if you expose for the brownie, all your cream and ice cream is gonna be blowing out. So in this case, I use like a snoot with a very small hole. So I was actually doing a specific lighting in the brownie. So that's why one side of the brownie is light, is with some light, but is actually not affecting the white ice cream. So this picture seems very, very, very easy to do it, but when you're doing, you realize that you have a lot of challenge to solve.
Yeah, and then all the details that go into it it's too bad that you normally wouldn't see that unless you just happen to have a perfectly placed window shining the light on that brownie to see the texture on the one side.
That's right. One thing that is a good idea to understand when you're lighting liquids is that usually you never light liquids from the front. Mm-hmm. Of course, we are not talking about labels right now. If you're lighting a bottle of whiskey, you have to do like a specific light to the label so you can actually see the brand. But when you're lighting transparencies and glasses and liquids in general in a container, like in a glass right here, all the light is coming from behind. So you see here a light coming, which is a rim light. Here's another rim light coming here, and all this information that you have here, and you can actually see the eyes. By the way, this ice is fake. It's an acrylic ice.
Right.
and it has, this peculiarity and this transparency, and they have different shapes and prices and stuff. This one that we're using are amazing, very very spark and with a lot of shines and stuff. And all this lighting is coming from behind, except for this strawberries here that I use a mirror for filling the shadows and for giving a little more color and lighting. But that's important to understand. If you're lighting liquids, it's a very very common practice to light them from behind.
And you had lights behind and to the sides, or from above, or how is it? Right.
I mean, to the sides, but behind. So one is coming from here, is like a rim light, like it's a backlight, but not that back, but like a rim. Another one is coming here, from here, and this one here, that is a mirror.
Very cool. I'm motivated. I'm going to be. Maybe I'll be taking a photo of my when I make a Manhattan tonight. Another
thing that you should consider when you're taking pictures of food is or glasses, is that you can actually use a diffusion material. You can use one of those 5-in-1 reflectors made of fabric. You know what I'm talking about? And one is just like a white thing that I can actually the light passes through. So you put it in the side, like in this one here. Let me show you. You put it in the side here, and your light is coming from here. And instead of having
it's not up yet there.
A softbox that actually is gonna give you just a square or a rectangle of light, very defined, you have this translucent material or diffusion material, and you light it from behind, and you create a gradation. I don't know how to say this in English, but
I can't really see it. Right. Can't really see it on your screen right now. I see me with some green and some. There it is. Yep.
You see this part is not like this is not like a softbox. This is more like a gradient here. Can you notice that?
Yeah. Looks like
it's the same thing here. It's like a gradient. It's not like a very sharp white reflection of a softbox, but it's more like a diffuse, graduated light with a graduation. How to pronounce that in English?
Yeah, gradation, gradient, and gradient.
Okay,
we're gonna have to do one of these with Spanish vocabulary sometime, because.
Oh yeah, because for me it's kind of difficult to explain this even in Spanish. Just imagine to use another language to do it. But I'm trying to do my best.
So you sound great, man.
So that's basically
that's
basically
great.
it.
It's really great work, man. It's again, I just can appreciate it from the little bit of trying that I've done, and I know it's a really kind of a specific niche kind of photography, and it's great. I think we should keep practicing that. But hey, we've been talking for nearly 40 minutes. I think we should probably wrap it up and get back to our quarantines.
I think nobody's watching us right now. I think
that's okay. That's for later. Some hopefully people will watch all the way through later. We'll see. If you
and you're hungry. You want to eat something, right?
I'm starving. I haven't. I've not only quarantined myself in my house all day, but right in my office area, which is right next to the kitchen, and I haven't left those two places all day. So I need to get out, get some exercise.
Well, my friend, I hope one of these pictures makes you even more hungry.
It's killing me. I could chow any of those things right now. And
perfect, Ron. So thank you for your time, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's a trial run. Hey, if anybody's watching all the way through to the end, please let us know that you did. I mean, it's for later. It's for
make some comments.
Yeah.
Criticize, say whatever you want.
We're going to do some, looks like I'm going to be leading some some HDR stuff over on Photomatic's page. But if it's fun, I mean, we should do some of these on your page. Senor, we'll get your nickname of Ganchos going. And
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that yet.
We'll-
Let me think about it. My
we'll-
new nickname.
we'll do a Spanglish version. So we'll be, you know,
But hey, but the way, do you have a nickname or no?
usually it's just Pepper, just my last name.
Pepper.
But you know how it is.
Well, for me, it's gonna be Ghost Pepper.
Ghost Pepper.
Ghost Pepper.
That's a really good.
Not Pepper. Pepper. A British way.
Pepper.
Pepper.
That's a really good one because you know that's the spiciest pepper that exists on the planet. I heard. I'm making myself
told
into
me,
a
yeah.
ghost for a while, and ooh, that looks scary. Look at my head; it's got like a hole in it. So that's a pretty
I think it's not. I think it's because you have a hole in your head.
well. So what? Should we compare?
No, we should not compare. That's why I'm using this thing.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we have some other apps to try out, so let's do this. Do some more trial runs. We'll do some more trial runs. Next time, we'll think of some other kind of area of photography to focus on, and yeah, let's take it from there. We got to work on the quality of your video too. I don't know why it's coming through so low.
I have no idea. Probably the camera, the web camera, is kind of scratch, or I don't know.
That's not it. Hey, try since we're doing this,
Uh-huh.
since a lot of this is experimentation, would you try to stop your screen share and let's see if it gives us better quality then if you're not transmitting both.
Okay, I'm gonna do right now. Let me just take a look.
This is more of the
Stop
testing
sharing.
portion
Okay,
of the
so
video.
stop sharing.
Okay, let's see if that improves.
It does or no?
Part somewhat. It's not all the way there, but
But it's actually better a little bit, at least, or is the same thing?
it is better, but it's not great. Wait, I'm going to make you really dark, really bright. Look at the power I have. I can make you bright. I can turn the temperature down.
Yeah. You're the master. You can control my virtual life.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop the stream and yeah.
Nice to talk to you. Ron.
Adios.
So,
Oh, stay on the line. We're just going to
Go
stand on
grab-
top of the screen.
go and grab something to eat.
Yeah. Adios. Todos.
Adios.